Okie dokie, folks. This is Kyle Shaw, aka the Canadian Goose, and welcome back to Monday Night Shaw right here on Love Wrestling. And on the show this week, I want to welcome brand new wrestler to the Alberta territory, Jared Rogers. Jared, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. Thank you for having me. How are you doing, Goose?
I'm not doing too bad. Not doing too
Oh,
bad,
that's
all
good to
things
hear.
considered. Um,
I'm
so
happy to
uh,
hear that.
that makes me happy as well. Well, let's get right down to brass tacks. You recently you freshly just had your first match like a couple of
Yeah,
months ago. How'd it go?
yeah. Oh, it was incredible. Like legit, like probably one of the best nights of my life. 'Cause like I've wanted to like wrestle for so many years now, and like just to like finally like have that first match in like front of an audience was like
How
special.
how old are you?
I'm 20 years old right now.
Okay, and so you probably wanted to wrestle for like 10 years or something.
Give or take. Like I started watching wrestling when I was like 7 years old. And like
Okay,
the thought of like I always like thought like oh like that would be cool. But, like I didn't know like how much of like a how
it,
realistic of a goal that was until like I started going to like independent shows around here when I was like 12. And like once I like started going to like PWA shows and like RCW shows, I was like, oh, I could do that one day. And here I am. I did it.
nice, buddy, nice. So,
Thank you.
uh, what like if you think back to like either the first like angle or match that you
Yeah.
really remember that really got you into wrestling, what would that be?
So the first time I ever watched wrestling was actually WrestleMania 26, the one with Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, Streak versus Career.
Oh,
It's
okay,
actually
yeah,
like kind of a funny story because my mom works for like a law firm, and at the time, like that was like the same WrestleMania where like Bret Hart and Vince McMahon had their wrestling match.
oh,
And
I remember
so
that. It
yeah,
was terrible. Bruce
yeah,
Hart
no.
was the referee.
Yeah, no, I at the time, like first time like watching wrestling, like I didn't like know like that was bad. I was like, oh, what is this? Like these old men are like beating each other up with chairs. Like this is wild. But like my mom works for this law firm, and like at the time, Bret Hart was involved in like a lawsuit with his life insurance, I believe. So like one of the
Okay.
lawyers that works at my mom's law firm like was like defending like the law company, and like at the time, my mom had like one of those like DVD players where like you could put like a blank disc in and like record like what's going on TV. So they got her to like record like the WrestleMania so they could have it as like evidence and like whatever like lawsuit. And I just happened to like walk into like the room like I want to say like maybe like when like the Money in the Bank ladder match was going on, and I was like, whoa, what is this? Like Evan Bourne's like doing like shooting star presses like off like ladders, and like
This is
this is
important
the
legal work.
craziest thing I've ever seen, and like I've just been obsessed with wrestling ever since. I was like, I gotta know more about this. And then obviously like I guess like the biggest thing from like that show that like drew me in was like Shawn Michaels versus like The Undertaker, because like even like not knowing like much about wrestling going into that, it was like a pretty like clear story. Like this guy is undefeated, this guy is putting up his like career.
Yeah,
It's
and I remember
like it felt like a big
the
deal.
year before they had wrestled as well,
Yeah,
and it was
yeah,
like one of the best matches of all time.
yeah.
So
No, like I like the WrestleMania like 26 match better because like that was like what got me into wrestling, so it's more personal.
mhm.
But like both matches are like fantastic, and like WWE like does such like a good job at like their like hype videos like before matches, where it's like even though like I've never seen it before, like with their like 3 4 minutes they did like oh they had this match last year, like I was already like caught up like that, and I was like
Mhm.
sweet, awesome
I
match, like
yeah, no, I think that that's one of like the greatest matches of all time, and
yeah.
I really like that follow up one as well. I thought they were both like really top notch
Yeah,
matches. You mentioned that you started going to indie shows around here when you were like 12 years old and
yeah.
stuff. Is there any guys that you remember from back in the day that got you like interested in independent wrestling?
Like the big guy that's like I credit to like getting me like super like into like indie wrestling is Michael Richard Blaze. Because like the first indie show I ever went to was Night of Champions 2015, the one where Michael wrestled Samoa Joe. Like it
Oh,
was like such
okay.
a good match, and like ever since then I was like, oh, I've been like a huge like MRB guy. But like there's so many like indie wrestlers around here that I've like been a really big fan of for years. Like this big BVD guy, big Marky guy, big Colton Kelly fan, big. I'm drawing blanks. So, like there's so many because there's
Yeah,
like so many
there's
guys that I like.
everybody
But like
around
just like
here is like,
everyone around here is like so good, and I've like said it for years. Like there's so many guys around here that like deserve like more exposure than they get.
mhm. And like even more of them are like just solid human beings and
Oh
fun people
yeah,
to
like
collaborate and create with, you know,
no for
like
sure. Like
some people, myself included, are not like the
yeah,
greatest athletes of all time, but like
yeah,
you go out there and you come up with like these creative ways that you can, mold things, work around your the things you need to work around, and like
yeah.
it's like art, right?
Yeah, no, like I've had like
And the
so much
fact that
fun. Like
everybody around here has been so graceful with me. So
yeah,
yeah.
no, like I've yet to have like a bad experience like meeting like any wrestler around here. Everyone here around here is like so awesome. Like go like backstage at like an LPW show, like everyone's like so supportive of each other. Like it genuinely feels like such like a family, like as
Mhm.
cliche as it sounds. Like everyone's so awesome to be around. Like
Yeah.
I don't have enough like good things to say about everybody.
Yeah, they're definitely like, I mean, there's been like drama and stuff. I
Yeah.
find that sometimes some people especially just like to they just seem to feed off drama and
Yeah.
like try to perpetuate it, and I myself, I try to stay clear of drama and
Yeah.
politics and all that
So
kind
do
of
I,
stuff
man.
in
Like
wrestling. Like I'm kind of like I'm here to do my job, and that's to go in and entertain people. And like, if you want me to be the big winner, then great. And I could go out and do that and be the big
yeah,
winner and entertain everybody, or I could go out
for
and
sure.
lose and entertain everybody. But either way, I'm gonna do the best I can. So like,
Yeah, no. I don't like getting involved in drama in general. Like, I'm just here to have fun.
yeah, it's
Put on a good show.
it's not high school. It's
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That said, that was your first match was last month, right? How many matches have you had in
Um,
total now? Do you know?
so my first match was in March against Zoe. So I think counting like all like the matches I had in like the Infinity Gauntlet, I think I'm at match number 8 right now.
Okay.
So yeah. So yeah, I wrestled Zoe in my first match. I went out to Saskatoon, wrestled Bucky McGraw at a PPW show there
Bucky
last month.
McGraw.
Yeah,
That's a great wrestling name.
no, no, I had really fun working him. I
Tell me a
wrestled
little
Stephen
bit
Crow.
about Bucky McGraw. What
Um,
kind of wrestling does he do, and how did it go?
very like old school, like very basic stuff. Like, but like his like gimmick is like he's like wrestling's like smartest man or whatever. So like, it
I
was
mean,
like really,
the name Bucky
yeah,
just
yeah.
inspires intelligence, right? Like,
Yeah, no, like it was like I didn't really know what like I was getting into like when I first got there because like it was like my first time like working someone who had never like
mhm.
seen wrestle before,
Yeah.
and it was like very like
It's
basic match,
nerve-wracking
but
when you've never
yeah,
wrestled the person because you don't know how they're gonna react or like
yeah, and it was like I think he got to like the building like maybe like half an hour, 45 minutes before the doors open, and we were like the first match on the show, so I was like, oh, I hope like we have enough time to go over everything like we need to go over, but like.
mhm.
We didn't do anything like too crazy. It was like like an 8-minute match, like a little bit of shine, a little bit of heat.
Solid,
But
solid.
no, but like he made that match like really easy for me. And like yeah, it was like a little bit like nerve wracking, like wrestling someone like don't know what they do because like in my first match, like it wasn't like that nerve wracking because like my first match was Zoe and like I
Yeah,
wrestled Zoe like training
like
so often. It was like
all the time, every day.
like pretty much like 5 days a week for like the past like 6 months. Like it's like me and Zoe wrestling each other. So like I was
I
not worried at all there. But
I
like getting in
guarantee
there with
you,
like
I
somebody
sorry, I
else.
didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, it's okay.
Continue.
Yeah, but like getting in the ring with like somebody like I wasn't familiar with was like, oh, I don't know how this is gonna go. But like it all went good. I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah, yeah, no, I totally understand where you're coming from on both those accounts. Yes,
Yeah.
Zoe Sager is fantastic,
Oh,
and
no, one of the best.
yes, I have a great deal of admiration for her. I think she is absolutely hands down the hardest working wrestler in Alberta.
I
Like,
fully agree with that statement there.
uh,
Like I'm pretty
literally,
good at like consistently going to training, but like there's like the odd day I miss, but like every single day, like Zoe's in there and like
yeah,
she just
every
wants to get
time
better.
every time I've gone to training, Zoe's been there. It has been there. Aside
Yeah,
from maybe 1 or 2 days in my entire like
yeah,
4.5 years of wrestling or whatever.
yeah.
Uh,
Like
yeah,
the only days like I've been there and like she wasn't there is like because like she was busy like getting booked on like shows or something.
yeah, she had
So like
a good reason. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
but no,
It's
yeah,
definitely like she's like if I had to like log all the time I've spent in the ring against other people and stuff,
yeah.
the time I've spent with Zoe Sager would dwarf the time I've spent with anyone else.
Oh,
Just because
100% same
yeah,
here.
like
Like
I've yeah, and so like I have so much gratitude towards Zoe.
yeah,
And
no,
the other
like
thing you're saying about I totally understand that as well. Like even when we had like new people come into the training
yeah,
center and they lock up with you, sometimes it just feels different, right? You
yeah,
know, when we're all locking up with each other every day, like at the same training school or whatever, we all got the same sort of like understanding of how firm and whatnot we want each
yeah,
other to be.
for sure.
And you know, then when you somebody new comes along and suddenly maybe they're a little looser than you expect them to be, or they're a lot firmer, and like it just throws you off, you know. But
Yeah.
like I don't know. I think eventually, like I say, like everybody's like usually just happy they're there, and
Oh
like if
yeah.
you're there
Like
to have fun and entertain people, like then you know, like obviously you don't want two people that have no idea what they're doing, you know, trying to wrestle each other because then it's
yeah,
just like the blind leading the blind. But like you know, as long as like there's you know some kind of structure or whatnot laid out there, then I don't see you know there's no reason to get all like antsy about wrestling someone new. I mean,
yeah, no.
I think too like I don't know like maybe it's because I've had like more matches than you, but like I
Yeah.
kind of just like I look forward to wrestling new people now, and like I don't get super nervous about it. Like I don't really worry that like people are gonna like try and hurt me in the ring or anything
Yeah.
because like I don't think that kind of nonsense would fly. You know, like I think that like okay, they could come and they could easily hurt me, and you know somebody could easily beat the shit out of me in the ring if they wanted to, but like then they got to go backstage and face the rest of the roster and explain why they did that to
Yeah.
me, you know. And then those people that you know they better have a good reason,
Yeah, that's fair.
because like you know people don't put up with unprofessional like nonsense and shenanigans like that. So you know,
I'm like I 100% knew like nothing like that was gonna happen like wrestling like Bucky because like like just being like backstage at like PPW like it was like a very like a professional environment and I was like well I know anyone that they book here is gonna be like a professional so it was like
yeah,
more so it's like I just don't know what moves he does don't know like what we're gonna do but like like it was a good learning experience too like and now I have like more confidence like oh yeah like
yeah.
I could wrestle somebody like I don't like
Do
put
you
on a
know
good
how
show.
long he's been wrestling for?
Not off the top of my head. Like I know he's been around for a while in Saskatchewan, but like I couldn't give you like a time frame because I'm not super familiar with like
Okay, so but he's probably like had a few years worth of matches already.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Like remember like getting there like once I found out like I was wrestling like Bucky, like Bayrat was like talking to me. It's like, oh yeah, no, Bucky's good. Like he's been doing this for a while. Like he's a pro. Like you'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Who did you travel with when you went there?
Um, like who like chatted with me like booking me on the show?
Who
Oh,
traveled
traveled
with
with?
you?
Oh,
Yeah.
traveled. It was me, Stephen Crow, MRB, Bayrak Garani, Reed Matthews, and Mars the Specialist.
6 people in one car?
Y- Yeah, we took a van out there. It was
Oh,
a fun
okay.
time. Yeah.
I was
No,
gonna
it was
say
very good.
that's
Like very good. Like group of people to like have like my first wrestling like road trip with. Definitely like
yeah, I was gonna say,
they're fun to be around.
do you have any memories from the road trip that are
Um, Nothing like super specific. Like the biggest thing like from the road trip I remember is like just like making fun of like the stuff like Mars will say like when he's like, "What do you mean?" and like how he sounds like Mario when he like gets like that.
he
Like that's like
does.
my biggest like takeaway from like that road trip is like everything no matter like what we were talking about, like everything like came back to like Mario and like Mars. Like we started calling him Marzio.
Oh boy.
I was like fun times.
The Super Mario brothers.
Yeah.
Him and Thickness cuz should do
Thick
that for
EG.
yeah, they should do that for Halloween this year. That'd be fantastic.
No, I would pop. They
It'd be so
definitely
good.
do. It would be. It'd be so good.
I remember back in the day when I was starting to take road trips and stuff, and
Yeah.
we would do all kinds of ridiculous stuff. It wasn't me; I was just riding with these people, right? But
Yeah.
the adventurous lot, independent wrestlers, and I was riding one time with Cameron Stevens and a couple other
Yeah.
guys in the car, and uh, we were driving around with the windows down full blast blaring out Scott Steiner's entrance song. It's like sirens and stuff.
Oh yeah. Holla if you hear me, like that one.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And people were like slowing down and like veering away. It was pretty funny.
That's
But
funny.
then later on, we were driving on the highway to go to Calgary or something, and so we got pulled over by a policeman. And as he
Oh,
pulled up to the car, they put Big Boss Man entrance song on.
that's funny.
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious. They did get pulled over because of the Scott Steiner music, which
Oh,
probably could have, like,
I mean
probably
that's
wasn't like. I
that's
don't know
fair.
if
If you're
you're
like
allowed to do
blasting like
that.
sirens and stuff, I never
Yeah.
thought about that.
And then, yeah, and then but it was the police gave the guy a speeding ticket, and on we went with our day. But there's been all kinds of like stuff like that, and then once in a while you have to cram into a car. Like I've had to
Yeah.
be ride in the trunk or the
Oh,
hatchback of somebody's SUV, like
yeah.
all kinds of stuff. You just sleep at people's houses, like, oh, this
Yeah.
is this is a fan that the promoter knows, and like they're gonna let you crash on their couch today, or like there's all kinds of like little adventures you'll get up to.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're looking forward to all that stuff,
Oh
eh?
yeah. I'm looking forward to all of it.
So other than Bucky McGraw and Zoe Sager and of course MRB, who else have you had the opportunity to wrestle?
Last month at the LPW and like clandestine wrestling society show, I wrestled Stephen Crow, and like that was a really fun
Oh,
match. Like I feel like me and Steven have like really good chemistry, like working together. And
yes. I think most people have good chemistry working with Steven. I feel like
yeah,
Steven's just a fun wrestler to wrestle.
oh no, like he's so much fun to wrestle. Like just coming up with like spots and like ideas to do in our match with him was like so easy and like so fun.
hmm I remember when I wrestled Steven, we had one-on-one match, and
Yeah.
it was actually the 100th match of my career.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it was in Calgary. Nobody filmed
Yeah.
it. That made me
Oh.
angry because it was really good, and I know it was good because Johnny Devine was there, and
Oh
he
yeah.
was like just there to like I don't know if he was making an appearance on the show or something, and yeah, he would like watch the match, and then afterwards, like yeah, gave me some like advice about it and stuff, and he liked it too. So yeah, I really am disappointed that I don't have that match on video because it was a lot of fun, and it was one of
Yeah.
those situations where it was the first time where like don't get me wrong, Stephen Crow's miles better wrestler than I am. But like at that time, I had had more matches than him, so it was like kind of like the first time where I was sort of like the one that was sort of like dictating what we were going to be doing and stuff. And so it
Yeah.
was yeah, like I got to call some things in the ring, and it all went really
It's fun.
really well. So yeah,
I know, like
um,
I could
is that
wrestle like Stephen Crow like every day of the week, and I would have a blast every single time.
mhm, and the fans watching would as well because he
Oh yeah.
that's one of the other things I like. Even when I wrestled Steven, it was before he had become like a cowboy. He was just
Yeah.
like Stephen Crow at that time, and
Yeah.
uh, I was actually trying to convince him to like really go with the crow thing and like adopt like bird stuff, and me and him could
Yeah.
be like a bird tag team. But
Oh.
he was like, "No, we're not doing any bird shit."
Uh,
Uh, but yes, I have an immense amount of warm feelings for Stephen Crow, regardless of the fact that does not want to be a bird flavored tag team with me.
no, like you and Stephen Crow and like a bird flavored tag team, like feuding with like Eli Surge would be good shit.
Mm. You know, I there's a guy in BC called
Yeah.
Battle Wasp, and I
Oh
really
yeah,
want
I've
to
seen him.
team up
Yeah.
with him. I want to do Canadian Goose and Battle Wasp, and we'll be the birds and the bees. You know,
Oh, such a
let
good
me
tag
tell
team.
you
That would
about
be.
the birds and the bees and the apples and the like. We come
I
up with
like
the
that.
music and just have honk and buzz chants going at the same time. It'd be pretty funny stuff. I don't know.
It
Like
would
I've
be.
never even actually seen Battle Wasp wrestle. I'm just like, oh,
No.
Wasp guy and the Goose guy. We should do something. It'd be fun.
Yeah, no, like I've never seen him wrestle either, but like I know who he is, and like that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, and then
I'm all for that, like
yeah,
tag team.
there used to be a guy in the other PPW, the Alberta PPW at the Lethbridge.
Yeah.
There was a Killer Bee guy down there too, and
Oh
I
yeah.
also wanted to do that idea with him. I'm just desperate to like. I don't know if B. Brian Blair is doing anything. If Spencer wants to bring him in,
Yeah.
Love Wrestling, get the birds and the bees going here. Anyway, uh,
Uh,
back to you, Jared. Sorry, I don't. I'm just sometimes this turns into the Monday Night Shaw podcast about me too much. Anyway, let's make
oh
this more about you. So you had the opportunity to wrestle with Stephen Crow, and
yeah.
that was also on a clandestine society cross with Love Wrestling. Do you know who you're
Yeah.
facing at the next one?
I have an idea of who I'm facing. Like I don't know if I'm like allowed to like say who
Okay,
I'm facing or
fair
not, because like very much like I get like the vibe with like the clandestine shows. Like they like announce what the main event's gonna be, and then like the rest of the show is like, oh, here are the people that are gonna be performing, but like they don't really announce like the full like list of matches. But
yeah. And
so
I
I don't
think
know if
that's
I
fair, and
yeah.
I like that how they're doing that as
Yeah.
like like an interesting concept because it's like
Yeah.
it's usually like a 4 or 5 match card. You know,
Yeah, no,
it's not a real like long show, but it's only like
no.
$10 to go check it out, right?
Yeah. No, I
So
think like that like format of shows is like super like cool because like I have like lots of like friends and family and whatnot that'll like come to the shows and like they don't mind like they're not like big like wrestling people, but like it's like, oh, like an hour and a half long show, $10, like sure, I can go to that, even if they're not like they wouldn't necessarily want to pay like $30 and sit through like a
yeah,
three
you're not
hour
like,
show.
hey, come to the 6-hour WrestleMania,
Yeah.
like
No, like I think it's good format and like especially because I have like nieces and like nephews who are like pretty young that like will come to the show and like like that's just like a good like amount of time for like little kids to like get involved without like them getting like bored after like 2 hours or whatever. Like it's a good length of show for like non wrestling fans, and it's also like a good way to like get new people like who might just be like hanging out the rec room, like, oh, what's going on in there? Wrestling? Oh, $10. Sure, why not? Let's go see what's going on in there. It's a good way to like new people who might not like know that there's like local wrestling around like
Yeah.
involved.
And then like there's the like the season pass people, they'll get like
Yeah,
a comp ticket or whatever if you got a season pass for Love.
yeah,
So like definitely if you're interested in checking out any of these shows, that would be the way to go. Were you were on the last main Love card, weren't you?
yeah.
Or
I wrestled Thickness on that one,
oh, right on, right on. How did that go?
and I think it was really good. Like I had lots of fun wrestling Reed.
Yeah.
I was like I was really happy with like how everything turned out, more or less. Like there's like obviously like I can look back at my matches like, oh, like this could have been better, this could have been better. But
Yeah,
like overall, like I think like
that's
it
like
was
an
good.
everybody has that, I
Yeah.
think. Like
Yeah.
even matches like that I watched where I'm like, okay, this is I feel like this is one of my better matches. If I watch it close enough,
Yeah.
I'll find things that I go, oh, I should have done that differently, or I could have timed that in a different manner, or played that in a somewhat different way that would have maybe been a little bit better. But
Yeah.
I don't know, like uh, I mean, I as long as I've been a part of some real stinkers too, like a couple of real stinkers,
Yeah.
and like not too many to be fair, but a couple
Oh,
where I was like,
that's good.
oh, that was a real bad one, and so like when they're not that bad, like I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
well, we're at least we're better than that. We're beating that bar, you know.
That's
But I don't know. But like I also find like I don't know. My train of thought is a little all over the place. But I think back to the match that I had with it was me and Will the Thrill against Steven Styles and Red Deer, and it was
yeah.
just a disaster. I don't want to talk about it though, because I have talked about it on Monday Night Shaw probably a bunch of times. But yeah, it was an absolute disaster, and like and then I've had several where like a couple where I was like actually really pleased with it. But like yeah, like you say, like and even when I go
Yeah.
back and I watch the real bad disaster one, I'm like I
Yeah.
can find good things about it too.
Yeah.
You know, like you find good and bad with everything you do. Like like have you gone back and watched these matches? Like I know
Oh
that
yeah, like I've
Spencer's
like
takes
yeah.
great video of all his stuff.
Yeah. No, like I've gone back and watched pretty much everything. Like I haven't watched back like every match I had like in like the Infinity Gauntlet yet. Like I will at some point,
Mhm.
but like I've watched back like my match with Zoe like a million times. I watch back like my matches like multiple times over. And like you said, like I can find like the good in it, the bad. Well, I don't want to say bad, but like could be better.
So, of all your matches so far, like which one has been your favorite?
Mm, it's hard to say because like I had like all of my matches have been like lots of fun, but I want to say like my match with Zoe like might be my favorite because it was like exceeded like so many like people's like expectations for like a first match.
Okay,
And it was like such a like a good day, but like I don't know if that was my best match, but it's like might be my favorite because it's
which
hard to say like what
from
because like my
from
match with Steven was like really good. My match with Thickness was good. Like I had like me, Steven, and MRB had a fun like triple threat match and gauntlet match that was really fun. But like
so when you go back and you watch these matches,
yeah,
which one do you think is the got the crowd the most excited?
crowd. Mm, I want to say that. either my match with Steven or my match with Reed. Because obviously like the match with Reed was on like the Friday show with like a much bigger
Mhm.
crowd,
Yeah,
much bigger. Yeah.
it's a bigger
So like,
crowd for sure.
but like before like the match started with like Steven, like had like real loud like Jared Rogers chants that I wasn't like expecting to get because like Stephen Crow is like so like popular. But like it was like very like overwhelmingly like loud for me, which I was like very like appreciative of.
Did
Yeah,
you must have had a lot of, like you mentioned, your nieces and nephews and stuff
yeah,
were there.
yeah, yeah. No, like I had like I want to say like between like 15 and like 20 people for like both my first match and like well, like both LPW and like clandestine shows. Like I've had like quite a large group of people there just to like see me. So like which like really helped like die down like my nerves for like my first matches because like
Mhm.
well no matter how bad I do like I'm gonna have at least like 20 people like still like cheering me on like no matter what goes
Yeah,
wrong, which I'm
like
not always gonna
it's
have that,
yeah,
you
and
know.
it is easier to like take a beating when people are like cheering you on, you know?
Yeah,
Like it's like, oh, I just got like kicked in the face, but like, oh, the
like
people are going nuts, and I really don't
yeah,
have time to worry about this right now. So let's,
yeah.
yeah, continue the match. Wait,
And
I,
then like another thing like I like about like watching my matches back is like the fact that like if you go back like watch my match any match I've had in like LPW that like like there's like certain things like like in my first match with Zoe like there was times where like in that match like I'm teasing going for like my blockbuster but like it's my first match and like it's not like an established move that I do like nobody knows what I'm going for and I don't know if that really like what's the word like the audience like understood like what I was doing, like why I kept like climbing up to like the second rope teasing it. But like with like
yeah,
Michael and like Boris on commentary, like they like helped out like, oh like Michael would be like, like I know like Jared's been like practicing like a blockbuster at training. And I wonder if like that's what he's going for. So like having like very good like commentary to go with my matches has like made like my experience like watching back my matches a lot
yeah,
better because like I've
uh-huh,
seen like footage of like my matches like so like that like somebody else like had recorded from like the crowd like with no
mhm,
commentary and like see that compared to like with like Boris or like Michael commentating over it's like night and day like like I was like happy with like the match like with no commentary but like once you add like
yeah.
Boris on commentary like it just gets like that much better.
Yes, you're very lucky that you're getting to do all
Yeah,
this stuff for a
no,
promotion that has like a high production value.
yeah,
Like, because like I've had like over 100 40 matches,
yeah,
at least, and I think four have commentary tracks on them.
oh
Two of them are
wow,
are like two of my favorite matches, and I think that the
yeah,
fact that they have like quality production and commentary really helps, and the other
yeah,
two are they're not bad by like they're not any disasters that I was talking about earlier, you
yeah,
know. And I think that like I say, it ups it so much, and I've been super impressed with Boris and with Love Wrestling's
yeah.
production value overall. Like I know that I wrestled Mars
Yeah.
specialist at they had a hockey night where they did
Oh
a
yeah.
show outside the Crusaders arena out in the parking lot, and Spencer just happened to ask me, "Hey, Goose, do you want to wrestle Mars?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to wrestle Mars." And he just like put us out there like half an hour notice, right? And so me and Mars
Oh, that's
went and
cool.
we had this fun little match. But then he sent me the video of it, and the video is like full on, like it's like 4 or 5
Yeah.
different cameras. Boris is doing the commentary. There's drone shots. I was blown away. I was like, wow, this is like it's gone from being a match that I just did on a whim one afternoon to like being a showcase match where like if I was gonna send out a quality match to show
Yeah.
somebody and say, "Hey, this is what I'm able to do," this would be one of the ones I would show them just because of the production value, the quality of the production. And that's not to say that other
Yeah.
places are, like, you know, crap in the bed or anything.
Yeah.
Like you got to work with what you got, but like yeah, the fact that Spencer and the people that are involved in Love Wrestling have legitimately made it a point to go to their way to make sure that all the footage looks good and sounds good. Yeah, I think is really
Mhm.
says it goes wonders for the like expressions.
Yeah.
I can't do them today.
Yeah, no,
You
I get
understand
what
what
you're
I
saying.
mean.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
understand what you mean for sure. And like, I can't say like enough like good things about like LPW because like their like production value is like so like good. Like, even like just from like the lighting and like the venue to like the rec room to like their high quality cameras, like having like quality commentary to go with it. And like
Mhm.
I think like the big thing with like
Sometimes they
LPW
have
is like,
pyro, it's nutty.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's like nuts. And like I haven't seen this like anywhere like around here. Like the first time I saw them like use pyro, like it blew my mind. It's like,
Mhm.
wow. And like they have the like big screen back there. Like it's just such a cool like venue. But like I think like one of like the biggest things that like LPW is like doing right is like they're making like all of their content like online like so accessible. Like between like streaming their shows on Twitch and like putting out like highly like good like edited like versions of like all their matches on like YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, because I always felt like one of like the like Alberta's like never like lacked in having like talent in like the wrestling like community. It's like it's been like so hard for like anyone outside of like the people like going to these shows to like access like the matches that they've had. Like nobody outside of here like would know how good they are. And like now like can't
Yeah,
say like
because
enough good things for like Spencer like getting like people's names out there. Like
yeah,
and like I
like I
know like
say,
he uploaded my
well,
match with like Zoe and like I think it has like 5,000 views on YouTube right now.
oh, wow.
And it's like, like a couple years ago, like having like 5,000 people like view a match that happened in Alberta was like kind of unheard of.
Mhm, yeah, no, like, and that like, that's, like, a great point because like,
Yeah.
I mean, you can get, like, PWA, like, DVDs and stuff, and
Yeah, like
I mean, I'm not gonna trash them, they're
no.
fine they're serviceable for what they are, they're
Yeah.
around, like, the same quality of an early, Ring of Honor DVD or something,
Yeah.
but it's like, it I don't know. It's just like I say, like I've had, well over 140 matches and
Yeah.
like four of my matches have commentary on them. And that's like
Yeah.
the rest of them have just the only reason that they were filmed at all was because somebody was kind enough to film them and send me the footage. And like
Yeah.
it's legit, like at RCW, Barricade, he even if he's not at the show, he sends his camera at every show just so he can have it set up there to film all the matches for the boys. And then after each show, he
Yeah.
goes and he edits all the matches, separates them into files, and then sends them off to the
Yeah.
guys. Just so people can watch their stuff to see, watch
Yeah.
and look for things that they can do better and stuff. So
I know.
but that's not the quality of footage you want to be releasing to like the public.
Yeah, no, like I feel like for like LPW like footage and whatever, like the high like quality cameras and like the lighting and whatever, like clips from that from like wrestling like at the rec room, like if you're making like a highlight video, like you want to put like footage from like working in LPW in your highlight
Yeah,
reels
yeah,
because like
for
that's
sure.
where like the footage looks the best.
Yeah, for sure. Like I mean, yeah, you want something that looks good, and like
Yeah.
LPW has always got a good like it's lit well and stuff like, but it's
Yeah.
not lit well in the sense that it's like, oh, we can see the bar and the pool tables
Yeah.
at the back of the room and
Yeah.
the dart boards on the walls because or whatever, like
For sure.
there's the school championship hanging from this, like nobody, yeah,
Yeah.
like okay, that makes it look a little less, pleasant to the eye. Um,
For sure.
but let's move on because I know another one of your matches here that you were involved with recently was the big Infinity Gauntlet. We talked about it.
Yeah.
How many legs of the Infinity Gauntlet did you partake in?
So I think I had 4 different matches in the Infinity Gauntlet throughout the day.
Okay.
So and
I was definitely there to like see one of them. I went down to
yeah,
check it out for a while. I wasn't able to stick around because I had to come home to feed the
yeah,
dogs because my mom was
that's
going
fair.
out. But I was there for a little while, and I was there long enough to definitely be impressed to
Thank you.
yeah, not only by you,
Oh,
but by
yeah.
MRB, who
Yeah, no, like
like he had gone, like, I mean, from what I've heard and seen, he went the entire 8 hours, which is incredible to me because like I
yeah,
definitely
no.
was there until like probably like the 2.5 hour mark, and by
Yeah.
then I was like, oh, I mean, he is really, really like, you could tell he's pretty spent doing this.
Yeah.
Like, and 2 hours of wrestling, yes, you would be spent doing it,
Yeah.
especially at the just kind of a pace that MRB does, right? Like,
Yeah.
I like if I had to go at that pace, I don't know if I would last. I want to
Yeah,
give
like
myself
I
some credit, but I definitely half an hour would be would be I'd probably be ready for it to be over by the time half an hour rolls around.
no, like especially with like not having like a real like crowd there. So like I feel like
Mhm.
like in like my experiences, like it's easier to like get through a match when like the crowd's like heavily like invested in it, but like with there like not being like with it being like limited to like basically like just like the wrestlers like partaking in it, like the referees, like
Yeah, MRB's
it
hilarious father.
yeah.
It's so good. Every once in a while, MRB, MRB, and it's just
Yeah.
MRB's dad going crazy.
Yeah.
I think at one point,
No.
Zoe was wrestling MRB, and MRB's dad went off, and Zoe was just like, "Shut it, Dwayne."
Oh, I remember that.
That was great. Uh, um,
Yeah.
but anyway, just for those
Yeah.
who are watching this and have no idea what we're talking about, the Infinity Gauntlet was a match put on here in Edmonton, Alberta, at the Clandestine Wrestling Society, where Jared trains and where I train when I'm not injured. And our trainer MRB, he wrestled for 8 straight hours against a revolving door of opponents. Jared was one of those many opponents. Were you only in one-on-one matches against him, or was there some three ways and stuff as well?
Uh, so like 3 out of the 4 matches I had were singles matches, but like I did have a triple threat match with him and Steven that went to a 30-minute time limit draw.
Okay,
So
you
like
went you did a 30-minute time limit draw.
yeah.
Oh wow, good for you.
So, yeah, no. That was like the one that I was like most like nervous about out of like all my
Mhm.
matches because like I knew like getting in there like in a singles match like MRB like calling it out there like I was gonna be fine because he's like so good. But like that was like the first time I'd ever been in like any sort of like multi-man match, and I was like I don't know how this is gonna go. Like it's like not going over like too much beforehand because like me and Steven like obviously like came up with like a couple things like
Yeah,
we wanted to do, but like to like draw that out for like 30
I'd
minutes, it
have
was
been
like oh
let's show
how
him a lot of mercy. We'll throw MRB to
yeah
the floor so he can sell,
yeah
and just while we wrestle for 5 minutes and let him breathe.
yeah
Like, I don't know. Uh, I was just gonna say though, but yeah, with it being in like an 8 hour match, I'm sure that
yeah
pretty much nothing was planned beforehand, eh?
no I like it.
Yeah.
No idea. Like every time I came out there, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing in this match, but I'm sure it'll be fun.
Had you ever done that before?
No, like that was like the first time I had ever like had matches like where it just went out there and like was all like called on the fly. Like I'd done like training matches and whatever where like calling it on the fly, but like never
Mhm.
like on a show where there was like broadcast like people or anything like that. So definitely like a good like learning experience too.
Yeah, 100%. There was no real crowd there, which is
Yeah,
kind of like deteriorates it. But like
yeah,
I've done that a couple of times, and it's usually with dead zone. But there's been a
yeah,
couple other guys where we've gone out there and just winged it, and it went pretty much just fine. But it's gotten to the point where I kind of like doing it that way. Like,
yeah,
I enjoy the fact that I don't have to worry about what's my next thing that I'm
yeah,
supposed
for
to
sure.
remember to do, and I'm just, going off of it. Like, you obviously have to have somebody you're simpatico with,
Yeah,
and somebody has to be able to, like, take lead and, you
take,
know
yeah,
yeah, but, like,
yeah,
yeah, when it all goes well like that, it can be a lot of
yeah.
fun. Like, I used to
No,
do,
like,
a lot of improv comedy when I was in
oh
high
yeah,
school. Have you ever done any, like, improv?
no, never.
No? You should see about doing some of that because
Yeah, no,
I thought it was completely invaluable to my, like, wrestling. Like,
yeah,
I've found that wrestling is, like, doing an improv scene and doing a wrestling match are the same thing, except in the wrestling match,
yeah,
we hit each other and slam each other. Like,
yeah. That's fair.
like, it's all like the structure of it is very, very similar. Like, the shine is where you're, like,
Yeah,
establishing the characters. Well, that's just the beginning, like, it's the beginning, middle, and end, right? And that's
yeah,
it's the same way that a match works and a scene works, and once you learn how to do that, like, off the top of your head, just, like, on the fly in
yeah,
general, without wrestling, and then I don't know, I think that helped me a lot because now that
yeah,
when I've gone to the ring with guys, like, I understand kind of like, okay, like, I sorta know where things are supposed to go, but don't get me wrong, like, I don't wanna sit here and toot my own horn or anything. I'm not, like, the greatest at calling matches on the fly or anything. I just enjoy doing it.
oh, that's fair. I could totally see that like doing like improv like could be like really like beneficial like to like wrestling in general because I do think like there is like a lot of like overlapping.
Mhm.
And I felt that for sure. Like like wrestling like in the Infinity Gauntlet because like there's like one spot in like the triple threat match we had where like just like right before like the match started like my parents like came down and, like checked out like the Infinity Gauntlet for a while and
Mhm.
like my mom like was talking to Stephen Crow and she was like, "Oh, Stephen, like you need to teach Jared how to two step." And I was like, "Okay, mom." And then, like in the middle of the match, like Stephen like was like, "Okay." Like me and Michael were about to like start chain wrestling. Like Stephen came there, like broke it up. He's like, "No, no, 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 no. Everybody, grab your waistbands. We're gonna start two stepping." So like there's like spots in the match where like Stephen Crow like got me to like two step that I don't like nothing was like really planned. I was like, okay,
See,
this is where
this
we're
is why
going.
I would love to wrestle with Stephen Crow again.
No, oh no, like I had a lot of fun like just
Yeah.
doing stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
like so
100%,
much
like,
fun.
it does, it, like, quickens your wits and stuff, so, like,
Yeah, no,
even, like, if you're the bad guy and some old lady, like, shouts
yeah,
at you, you can turn around and say something nasty back to her, like,
yeah,
you just come up with, like, different ideas and, like, you feel less inhibited when you're doing a promo. Like, I remember when I first started, like, doing promos, I'd be so scared and be like, "Oh, no, I'm being judged.
yeah,
I'm, like, all the other wrestlers are gonna, like, look at me," and then, like, later on, I'd just be like, "Okay, well, I'm just gonna go for it, and if people don't like it, they don't like it, but I'm
no,
gonna go for it," and then once I started going for it, people
yeah,
actually started praising my promos and saying they were good. So, like, I don't know, I think that, yeah, improv is just because it requires you to be creative on the
yeah.
fly, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's one of those things, and I don't know, but like I don't get me wrong. I'm also like
Yeah.
I do like to have a solid plan because like sometimes I
Yeah.
like to do some pretty crazy stuff. I don't think anybody's gonna like let me like just grab them and do like a middle rope Sister Abigail or something like that.
That's
Like
fair.
I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
explain it to them and show them how
Like
it works and how
go
I'm
over it a
able
little
to
bit.
do it
Like,
to them
yeah.
without murdering them. Like it's just like so like definitely I see no issue with like going over your whole match. Like
Yeah,
if
no,
that's if that's what you got to do, then you by all means go for it. But like I know that for myself, I kind of like to strike a balance now, where I have like
yeah.
like the beginning will have some planned stuff, and the ending will be more heavily planned. But all like the
Yeah.
middle part and all the heat and stuff will just be
Oh
like,
yeah.
well, you just do whatever, and like if you want me to do something,
Just
tell
feel it
me to
out
do
there.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
exactly, like, and I don't know, I like that sort of thing, but
For sure.
I. I have a hard time talking about any of this stuff right now too because like I know like I haven't wrestled in like 6 months and I'm
Yeah.
you know I sit here and I like philosophize on it, and it's like I don't know.
It's
I
fair.
I just can't wait to do it again. So, and I hope I
No.
get to wrestle with like you. Like, I'd love to go
No,
to
like,
like just like have a match with you. Like, even where we were like, maybe we'll plan a couple of things, but then
yeah.
just figure the rest out. Like,
No, like we'd have fun time out there. Like I can't wait till like your injury heals up and like you can come back to training and stuff. Cause like it's always like good to see you. Like you're a good dude. Like I like seeing you around.
well,
Like
yeah. I mean, I try to like be positive,
it's,
because like
yeah,
I'm very grateful, and I always
yeah.
say like gratitude is the attitude, and I just
That's a good
I think
saying.
that people are more apt to like want to have you around if you're going to be like a positive and grateful person rather than
Yeah.
entitled and stuff. Like I've been on like some car rides with people that think they're like you know people who really have like high opinions of themselves,
Yeah.
and it's you know it's like you need to just simmer it back here.
Yeah.
Maybe consider doing things a little bit more for others and not just so much for yourself. And maybe
That's fair.
I like even if you are the greatest of all time, help other people.
Yeah.
Like
Like
that's just going to make you that much better.
for sure. Like
And
I
and
mean
I
like
think that is sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but I did have a point here. And
yeah.
that people helping people and everybody being so good to each other, and this whole Infinity Gauntlet, I think that just brings it back to MRB and like how amazing it is that he wrestled for 8 hours. Like
No,
that's
like
that's amazing in itself, but the
yeah.
fact that he also raised over $10,000 for like children in need is even more impressive to
a
me
hundred
because
percent. Like
I
it's
I
such a good
know MRB, and
cause.
I had 0 doubt in my mind that he'd be able to
Oh yeah.
pull this off. I wasn't sure if he'd be able to raise that much money.
No, like it's like crazy to like think about. Like the initial goal he had set was only $1,600, and like just how
Mhm.
far like that like goal like changed over like the last like couple months when he like first announced it. It was like because like as soon as like he said like $1,600, I was like, okay, he can do that, no problem. And, raised it to 5,000. I was like, yeah, that's doable. And then like only like a couple days before like the Infinity Gauntlet like got raised like 10,000. I was like it was still like a realistic goal, but it was like okay, like that's like double like the last goal, and like 10,000 is like a lot of money. But like as soon as like got there that day and like saw like how quick like all like these donations were coming in, I was like, oh yeah, he's gonna hit 10,000 today. And like I was
Yeah,
so like incredibly like happy with like once like he hit that goal, because like man, like because like he put in the work Saturday. Like I can't like
yes.
overstate how impressive like wrestling for 8 hours is. Because like I'll come back after like a 10-minute match. I'm like, oh, I'm tired.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I
No,
could
I
not I could not do that for 8 hours. So like props
legitimately
to
got back
MRB.
through the curtain and been like heaving and like, oh god,
Yeah.
I got to get to the bathroom. I'm gonna puke, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No.
like 8 hours. I cannot even imagine. Like I just
No.
can't. I mean, I will say though that I actually I was really bummed that I couldn't be a part of it. You know, I
Yeah.
really wish I could have, but anyway, is what it is. And
No. Yeah,
hopefully,
no.
hopefully they'll do another one. Like,
Uh,
I'd love to see it like become a yearly thing. Like once a year, a wrestler from around here does like one of these infinity gauntlets for this charity, and we tape it. You
yeah.
know, and I mean, it doesn't have to be MRB every year. It could
No.
be, Zoe. I bet you Zoe could do that easy.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
You know, like
I don't know
I would.
too many others that would be willing to,
I
but
don't know. Like
I could see Zoe doing it.
if
I could
I
see
like
MRB doing it.
if I had the confidence and like my stamina and like my confidence, like call like on the fly for 8 hours, like maybe I'd consider it. But like I am nowhere near ready for a task like that.
Yeah, I feel like uh, a heavy metal Harlan Abbott, he might be able to do it. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
I can see that.
I think I absolutely would be able to do it. I don't know if he'd be willing to do it, because that's a long time to be wrestling for. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, no, it's actually like I said, there's a lot of people that I think could do it, but there's really not actually when you think about it, like a lot of people that would be willing to wrestle for 8 hours because like there's an enormous risk there too. Like
yeah,
what if he had got injured in the first 20 minutes, Like,
yeah.
then what had happened? I mean, I guess Zoe would have just taken over? I don't know.
I don't know.
Uh, yeah, but, and even more props to MRB because still, like, even though he just did this on, like, Saturday, like, he's
Yeah,
already released the schedule for the next, like, weeks of training, and
yeah,
he's gonna be there every day except for, like, Tuesday, which is this one day
yeah,
that he takes every week off or
yeah.
whatever, right? So, like, he's not even missing a beat. He wrestled for 8 hours on Saturday and woke up and probably, worked out and then came and trained again on Sunday, you know? Like,
I
I
don't know.
he's incredible.
Yeah,
Absolutely
he. I.
incredible.
Like, I just can't like state enough like how like incredible of like a feat like wrestling for that long is, and like just like the fact that it was like for such a good cause, and like he ended up raising so much money. I'm, like so like proud of him, and I'm like so like proud that I be like even like a small part of like the Infinity Gauntlet.
Mhm.
Like
I
like like
I
like just like he's a lot like, and he didn't like phone it in at all. Like he was taking
no, that's
superplexes
what I'm
and
saying
stuff
is,
like
like,
like
it was
7.5 hours
like,
into it.
when I was there, what I
Yeah,
saw was like it was a 2.5 hour, like, it was like a Daniel Bryan paced match.
yeah.
It was it
No, like
was
they were
n
like
it was gnarly.
MRB matches. Like
Yeah.
I was like,
I'm
he's
just
wild.
speaking in generalities, like, if you watch
Yeah,
MRB, and you watch,
yeah,
Daniel Bryan, I think they have a pretty
yeah,
similar type style. Um
yeah. That's
Yeah, uh, yeah, but it was that for 8 hours straight. It was
yeah.
nutty, and I was very pleased when I saw, like, the little clip at the end of you guys all freaking out because he
No,
actually pulled it off, and I'm not surprised he pulled it
no.
off, but I'm very, very happy, very grateful to that he for everything he's done for me personally as well, and then just for the fact that, like, MRB is such, like, a solid dude, like, he
Yeah.
just seems to make every, like, locker room he's in, like, a better place,
Oh, for sure.
like,
Like
if he's in the locker room and I have a question, I know I can go to him and be like, "Hey," I don't wanna bother him, and,
yeah,
I'm not gonna approach him while he's trying to put his match together or something, but if I see that he's not talking to somebody or something and I have a
yeah.
question, I would feel quite comfortable asking him, "Hey, for some advice," or whatever,
I know. Like MRB is like 100% like my go-to guy. Like whenever I have like questions about anything, like he's so like so smart when it comes to
Mhm.
wrestling. And, like he's so good at like putting like things in a way that like anyone could like understand.
Yeah, and I mean, from what I've heard, he talks to TJ like constantly,
Oh yeah,
and just gets
yeah,
all that kind of like he's been getting these lessons now for like 20 years, right?
yeah.
So like
Like it's
yeah,
hard. Like it's hard to find like anybody with like a quarter of like the knowledge that like MRB has. Like so, I'm like very like grateful that you know he decided to open a school and like he's become a mentor figure in like my wrestling career.
yeah, 100%. I yeah, I have a great deal of like respect for him, and he's like at the top of the list of people that I've yet to have a one-on-one match with that I want to wrestle. So
For sure, like MRB was like the number one like guy on like my list of like people I wanted to wrestle, and like I'm very happy that I got to like wrestle him like 4 times on like Saturday. But like I would love to like have a match with him in front of a actual like audience too one day.
yeah,
So
yeah, you will. You will. And
um
anyway, we do have to wrap it up here.
yep,
This has been Monday Night Shaw. I am Kyle Shaw, aka the Canadian Goose, and joining me is Jared Rogers, who is brand new to the scene, but like as you can tell by listening to this interview, he's enthusiastic and he's very he's got a good attitude about the whole thing. So I was happy to have him
thank
on
you.
here.
I'm happy
We
to
also
be here.
want to thank RK Athletics for sponsoring Love Wrestling and whatnot. And yeah, Jared, do you have any plugs? Do you have like I know you have T-shirts and stuff. Do you
Yeah.
have like a Redbubble or a Pro Wrestling Tees or anything?
Not yet, but like if you wanna like find me on social media, find me on Instagram and Twitter at the Jared Rogers.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah,
You should update your profile on Facebook too.
yeah,
Your Facebook is just like a blank picture. I was like,
yeah.
I
No,
hope this is the right guy.
yeah, no, it's me. I don't have like a lot of like photos of me like actually like wrestling like yet, so
Mhm.
I've been like waiting to like find like a good like photo of like just like me like in my like wrestling gear or whatever like actually like wrestling before I like update like my profile pictures.
Got to get some like backstage 8x10s or something, or like just some
Yeah,
backstage promo shots for
yeah,
when you have your next match or whatever, because so they can do the cool graphic where you're like looking mean at the camera. Or,
yeah. No, I have like graphic photo or like whatever that like they use for like the clandestine like LPW shows, but like legitimately like it's just like a photo of like me like posing like in my bedroom. So I'm like I don't know like if that's like the best like profile picture.
I,
I
I
want to wait
remember
for something a bit more professional.
I remember back in the day on SmackDown, and they used to have
Yeah.
like the moving ones where it was like a small
Oh yeah.
video clip, and it would be
Yeah.
like Triple H, and you'd be like,
Yeah.
and then
I know
the other
exactly what
guy
you're
on the
talking
other
about.
side, yeah, would be doing the same thing. And it'd be like, I, I love that kind of stuff. But anyway,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so the Jared Rogers on the Insta and Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the Facebook, you're on there as well, but
I'm on there.
your
Jared
face
Rogers.
is
I
blank.
don't have a profile picture, like
I don't.
legitimately, like
I
just
legit
yeah,
like. I don't blame you because like
yeah,
I'm gonna be like you said you're 20 years old, right?
yeah,
And I'm gonna be 40 next year. So for me, like Facebook is a totally normal thing, but I do have
yeah.
feeling that people that are 20 years younger than me think Facebook's for old
Uh,
people. So
yeah, that's like none of like like growing up or whatever. Like none of my like friends like ever had Facebook or whatever. So like I've never had a reason to like get Facebook until like I started wrestling. So like, I figured out that that's how
it,
like
it
wrestlers
is,
like communicate with each other. So I'm just
yeah,
like, okay, I'll
it's
get that now.
weird because like legitimately like pretty much all the bookings I've ever got were just like through Facebook. Like other than when I was
Yeah,
like, like I mean, I first started communicating
yeah,
with Squig through Facebook. All the promoters I ever talked to, I first reached out to them on Facebook and was like, "Hello, I'm Kyle," and yada yada yada, and you know, and unfortunately, it's
yeah.
gone well for me a couple of times.
That's
But
good.
anyway,
Yeah,
this has been Monday Night Shaw.
thank you
I
for
want
having
to,
me.
yeah. Hey, thank you, Jared. We'll have to get you on here again once you get
Oh,
a few more
anytime.
matches and stuff under your
Yeah.
belt and have some more stories to tell. It'll be a good time.
Oh yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
We
Take it
will
easy,
see
man.
you. Yeah, I will see you at the next
Yeah.
LPW versus Clandestine Society, and I think that's going to be May the 25th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okie dokie. I'll see you then, and
See ya.
hopefully we'll see you there too, each and every one of you. Okay.